Hey y'all. I have a live, you can't join. I'm sorry. I have a live scheduled with someone else. You guys just crash lives? Like you just like go on someone's live and just like crash.
Hey.
Hey Michael.
How are you?
I'm good. Good to see you, man.
Good to see you. Finally.
Finally, I know.
Your jaw
It's
looks
back
good.
to normal. It's like nothing happened. Dude, I look like a potato. It wasn't funny.
It was pretty bad, I know.
It wasn't that. It
bad.
wasn't like it got worse. You remember I told you it
man.
got worse. It got like
Yeah.
it was terrible. But anyways, happy to be back.
Good.
Good to see you.
It's good.
How's
You're
your-
like the
how's your day
live
been?
stream queen. You're like do lives every day.
Okay,
Honestly.
so what had happened was I had them scheduled that week, remember?
Yeah.
And then because of the thing, I had to cancel. So I'm just like trying to catch up with everyone I had scheduled for that week. So
Yeah.
that's why it seemed like it's been a bit intense this
Okay.
week. I try not to do more than 2 a week, which I guess is still a lot. But
Yeah, it
that's
is.
like but that's like my, cap on them. But how's your day been so far?
Super good. Super busy day.
I can imagine.
So this is my last scheduled thing for today, and then I get some downtime. So I'm excited.
Yes, I'm
Yeah.
excited for you too. So in my live yesterday, speaking of lives with Dane Walker, right?
Yes.
He said you created this yellow monster. So tell us about that.
My colors have been yellow and black for 20 years. And when I started making content about a year and a half ago, I was just using my yellow and black color palette that I used at my agency. And I mean, you can see my agency logos behind me on this door still. So I used yellow and black, and my account was kind of one of the first Instagram design education accounts to take off. And I think people just started going yellow and black. And so became a thing, I guess.
Yeah.
Now it makes me want to change my color, but
Dude.
I'm so stuck in it. My books are yellow and black. My agency was yellow and black. I'm stuck in it.
Dude, I had this conversation with Dane again yesterday because of course he's yellow. I'm yellow. The thing is though, I picked mine before coming into this community.
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm in that place too where is it worth changing just because there's so many other yellow and blacks, or should I just stick with it? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But anyways, we'll get to that.
Yellow's on brand for your personality, so it's a good fit. Yeah.
Okay, so yay.
It's good.
Yeah. Me. Awesome. So let's get right to it. One of the first questions I wanted to ask you. So of course, we're going to be talking about your career, your course. Dane Walker said a lot about you yesterday. So I feel like he talked a lot about you. Yeah, he mentioned how, he learned how to price his work from you. So I'll be asking you some of those questions as well.
Okay.
But I just wanted to start with early career, right? What was that like? So when you first started, what were you doing back in the day? What was your early career like? To paint a picture for us.
I started at the very, very bottom. I graduated from design school. I went to Indiana University, and my very first job was at Alpha Graphics. And for the people who aren't in America, Alpha Graphics is a copy store. It's a franchise copy store. They have photocopiers in the lobby and stuff. And that was the only job I could get out of college. I applied at a bunch of agencies and things, and nobody would hire me. And I thought when I graduated, I'm going to go and get a great design job somewhere. And I started at this copy store. And, it was super, super motivating to me to realize that this isn't what I want for my career. I want more than just this copy store job. And so I started to dig in on self-education, just trying to learn everything I could. I taught myself HTML, and I taught myself Flash, web design. I mean, this was in the late 90s. And so all that kind of stuff was starting at that time. And I just went in and learned everything I could. And my education, my self-education is what started to lead to new job opportunities and things. So that was that was my early career. But man, starting at the bottom, what I consider the very bottom of the design industry was super motivating to me to know that I want more.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey guys. So, so people are asking questions already. If you have any questions, put them in the question box. We'll get to them, at some point during this, live. Hi, Seema. Hi, Elvin. Hi, everyone who's here. Gustavo, Tony, thanks for being here with us. Okay. So what would you say was your biggest challenge back in the beginning?
The beginning, I think self-esteem was a big challenge. Like it was pretty humbling not being able to get a good job out of school. And, that was a challenge for sure. But once I dug in and started learning things, I started to get more and more ambitious. And success started to follow that. I started to get job promotions and jump jobs and things. Yeah.
So what would you say, how did you surmount the self-esteem issue? Was it a practical thing or?
Yeah. I mean, once you start getting promotions and start doing work for bigger companies and things, you start saying, maybe I do have more to offer than what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So what would you say was a turning point for you at that time? Was it, so was it the fact that you just kept working, improving your craft, or was it like a stroke of luck, right? Like, what would you say was your turning point?
In my career in general, or?
Yes,
or
in the beginning. Yes. What triggered that, change, pivot?
I was working at a .com. It wasn't a .com startup, but we became a .com startup. This was in 1998 to 2000. I was working for a children's toy and book company in Phoenix, Arizona. And I started building for them. I became their internet department and then started hiring people inside the company because we started building this virtual destination for kids. It was this cartoon world, and started to shape something new in the internet. It was this virtual world where you could go in, click on Santa's house and go in and see Santa Claus in the thing. And you could watch cartoons and go into Hollywood land and watch cartoons and see behind the scenes and things. We had online games. You could click on the park and play games that we would make about, in the playground area and stuff. And all of that started to grow my expertise. And then the CEO of the company started having me hire people. So I went from just me being the internet guy to having a team of like 20 people working under me. And then my confidence just shot through the roof during that time because all of a sudden I had this team of people. I was creative director. I was helping build this thing that he was generating millions of dollars of venture capital money for. And that's what led me to start working at Fox Studios, because what we were building at this company was really pretty revolutionary, and it made me stand out when Fox was looking for a position at Fox Kids, that I ended up becoming a creative director over there.
Okay, so creative director. Hey, Tally, welcome. Hi, Shauna. Hi, everyone who just joined us. Creative director, I feel like it's such a broad term sometimes. Yeah. What did that involve in your experience?
Yeah, so I managed the editorial team. So all of the content creation, the front-end development team, and the design team. Those three teams were under my umbrella. And it was what is the general creative direction for promoting this brand in a digital space. That was essentially, I was the digital creative director over Fox Kids and Fox Family divisions of the Fox brands. And it was all about establishing, how do we translate this television brand into an interactive digital brand space. And
of course, at that time, the scene was very different from what it is right now, right? What was different about being a creator?
It was a crazy time. I mean, it was early 2000s. It was the height of the .com era. It was, people just throwing tons of money at unprofitable ventures. It was a crazy time, and it turned off right out of the gate. I mean, you were going for a few years, and then all of a sudden, all of the investment world decided, oh, we can't just invest in these unprofitable companies anymore. We've got to start showing some profit, or at least a roadmap to profitability. And then that turned the tech industry to slump, and the .bomb happened, and that's when I got laid off at Fox, along with everybody from our division. And I started freelancing, and my freelance became what I grew into my agency.
That's crazy, because that was going to be my next question. But let's go back into, that era, and I guess realizing that they were putting money into unprofitable ventures, I guess, in their opinion at the time. It's interesting to me because, there seems to be this mentality that the creative, industry or whatever, there isn't a lot of value there, and there isn't a lot of value they can give. Do you think that mentality has any connection to that era?
That some people think that?
Yes.
It's junior-minded business people think that, because if anything, businesses have become way more design centric than ever before.
Right.
Smart businesses, take Google, for example. Google's one of the greatest examples of this. Google, for the whole first decade of their business, their brand was absolute crap. Their visual brand, their design of their tools, their design of their brand, it was terrible. And then they went through this big redesign, rebrand, relaunch of their brand. It was around 2012, 13, and they launched their material design and things. And now Google, from a visual design standpoint, is a much more sophisticated design system, and to the point of being admired as a design-centric business. And before, it wasn't even close to that. So I think smart businesses have become more and more design-centric, but still there's some junior-minded people out there that don't realize the importance of good visual design and usable design, the usability side of design.
Gotcha. Tyler's here. Hi, Tyler. Aman, I always take questions, put them in the question box. We'll get to them. Okay, so following up with that question, and I try to ask everyone who has, experience more than me this question: what is the best way you think that creatives can relay the value of design to business owners? You
got to know your numbers on that, and especially your own personal numbers. Knowing what the results of work you did had for the business that you did it for, and presenting that in your sales process is so effective. I just did a post on this a couple weeks ago, but about the value of design and what that even means. And one of the things, we used this statistic a lot. It was a company that we did a rebrand for. Within 2 months of the rebrand, they had generated 70% of their annual sales in this first couple months after this rebrand. And so statistics like that mean so much to a potential client who's trying to say, well, what is this design what's the return on this gonna be for me? And it's hard to predict the return on an investment in design, but you can talk about the return that other people have gotten from your work in the past. So my recommendation to everybody is ask for statistics before the project. Talk about being interested in seeing the needle move from the work that you do. So you sit with a client and you say things like, okay, now we don't want to just redesign this brand for you just to make a pretty new logo. We want it to generate an increase in sales or an increase in traffic to your store or increase in conversion on your website. We want to have it be results based. So what are your sales numbers now? Because we want to compare 2 months after our launch and 6 months after our launch and 1 year after our launch to see the results in our work. But you've got to ask for those numbers at the start before you even start the work. And then you got to ask for that later from the client on what the results were. Now, this does a couple things. Number one, it positions you differently than all the designers out there that think that they're just making pretty pictures. That, oh, I'm going to make you a super pretty logo. You're really going to love it.
Right.
That's how a lot of designers sell. They sell, I'm going to make you a really pretty logo. Instead, you start talking about, I'm going to make you a logo that is going to convert your customers into loyal buyers of your products and services. You start talking like that, the client, it resonates well with the client. And then if they know you're going to ask for results 3 months later, 6 months later, a year later, it positions you as this person who's interested in the long-term success of the business.
Right.
And your client starts to see you as a partner invested in the success of their business. Yeah.
Awesome.
So it repositions you in a more powerful way with your customer.
So I see a question here, and it speaks to a challenge a lot of us creatives have.
Yeah.
You know, the ability to, or the confidence, it's not an ability because the results are there. It's just the confidence to, I guess, not really guarantee, but, you know, just the confidence to state that these are the results this work is going to give you. How do you go about building that confidence?
Yeah. It comes in the way you talk. Now, let's talk about guarantees for a second. You cannot guarantee the results of your work.
Very true.
Because, and nobody should, you don't know when the next global pandemic is going to drop and it's going to change business. You don't know what's going to happen in the future. So no guarantees. I highly recommend against any guarantees that you have, because there are just too many unknowns in the future. The way to sell clients is to talk historically and to talk about the results you've done for other people in the past. Yeah. And you can say, now, based on the success we've had with this same type of project in the past, we can hope and assume that you're going to get similar results for you in the future. But there are no guarantees. I can't guarantee that to you any better than anybody could guarantee anything to me. I mean, we just don't know what the future holds.
No one knew what this year was going to turn out to be, right?
Exactly. It's like
we couldn't have predicted that.
I mean, so many people were saying that they were having the best year ever from January, February, March, and and it was rocking, and then all of a sudden March comes and they have a slump quarter, and then things start picking up, and it's just, you just don't know. So and a smart business owner isn't going to ask you for guarantees. I mean,
I love
junior-minded, I never would ask somebody for guarantee.
Yeah, because you know they're not.
I know I've been through enough business that I would know that if anybody was giving me a guarantee, that there's no way that they could prove that was actually going to happen. Right.
Yeah. Awesome.
So
Hi,
junior-minded, junior-minded business owners might ask you for a guarantee, and when they do, talk about the results you've done for past projects for other clients, and tell them that you would hope and expect similar results for them.
Okay, we'll get back to that. But before we go there, for someone who just starting out, right? How do you gain that credibility? It's hard. It's hard, honestly, because you don't have results of your work. So you can talk about results that you've seen other people do in the past. Other people have gotten results from their work. I put some statistics. There's a post I have called The Value of Design. Do you know the value of design? So people can go to my feed and look in that. I have some statistics that talk about the results that
stocks that trade, that are design centric businesses show X amount more growth than non-design centric businesses. I pulled some statistics from some different reports. And so look up some of those things, know some of those numbers. But the truth is that it takes time to speak confidently. You've got to have some success in some projects so that you can say, yep, I know we're going to do a great job for you. And you can say it with confidence because you've done a great job for other people in the past. Everybody starts at the bottom of that ability.
Yes.
When I was working at the copy store right out of college, I had no confidence at all. I couldn't tell somebody that they were going to get results from my work because I didn't even know what the results were. Yeah, I didn't even know how to even phrase that stuff. But over time, one project at a time, you start to gain more and more confidence. Now, it will come a lot faster if you are tracking the before and after. If you ask your client, what are your numbers now? And then you do the work and you ask your client 3 months later, what are your numbers?
Yes.
Then you can start to speak confidently, but you've got to get your own experience to be able to do that for sure.
Right. Welcome everyone who just joined us. If you have any questions, put them in the question box. We'll get to them. Suraj, Amarja, hi. Eva, hi. Tali, everyone, welcome. Thanks for being here, guys. No, absolutely agree with that. So next question, you talk a lot about ideal clients versus people you shouldn't work with, right?
Yeah.
So I just wanted to go back a bit to that junior-minded business owner versus like an, would you say, or would you recommend people work with people who don't even see the value in the creative work? Or is that a red flag?
It's a red flag. It's a red flag for sure. But sometimes we don't have a lot of choices. And I talked about this yesterday, but when you have need for work, meaning you need money, you don't have any demand from other clients, what are you going to do? You can either do no work and have no money, or you can take a risk and work with some of these bad clients. A lot of those posts that I do about vetting clients and beware of these certain clients, it's about understanding who you're working with and then managing them more effectively. So you have two choices with a potentially bad client. You can either say no to that person, or you can go into it knowing that this client is potentially bad and I better manage them appropriately. Manage them appropriately means I might want to up my price to hedge against any of the pain that they cause me. I might want to triple check my contract and make sure that it's super, super detailed so that I can hold them accountable to the scope. I might want to increase my communication because yes, I usually communicate with my client every other day, but with a potentially bad client, I'm gonna communicate every day. You're gonna manage a client differently if you vet them properly at the start, even if you take them on. So, but demand, I mean, our need sometimes makes us say yes to things that we wouldn't ordinarily be excited about. But if we don't have any money, that definitely motivates us to say yes to certain clients that we might say no to otherwise.
It's the worst, isn't it, when you have a problematic client who isn't paying you nearly enough for the problems, for the stress they're giving you.
I've been there so many times I can't count them.
Yeah, but I have noticed though, and I don't know if you would agree with me, there seems to be a correlation between clients who don't want to pay and clients who are problematic. They seem to always be the same kind of person.
It's junior minded. So smart clients, senior level thinkers will know what it costs to produce the work that they want to produce. And so they have appropriate size budgets for the work that they're asking for. Junior minded clients price shop. They want to get the best deal they can because they don't understand the value of the work that you're producing. So they cram down the price because they just want to get it as cheap as possible. So it's all about just trying to attract the right types of clients, to find the right types of clients in the way that you search. and it takes time also. I mean, honestly, if you're brand new out of school and you're a junior design level designer, you're not going to be able to go and land Google as a client. It's just probably not going to happen for you. But over time, you can grow your skills and start to be able to market yourself to bigger businesses like that. But it just takes time. So everybody at the start is likely not working with their ideal client. Now, there are some anomalies to that. The people who go to some super prestigious school, they go to art center or something, and they get placed at some agency somewhere, and right out of school, they're making cool projects for cool clients. Those are the anomalies. The norm is people getting a design education somewhere and then starting to just build their expertise over time. And as they build their expertise, they can start to go and attract bigger clients and build relationships inside bigger organizations and start doing bigger, more high profile work.
Yeah, I've seen both sides of the coin. Went to super fancy school, USC, had all the protective network. I mean, we talked about it, right? Worked with all the biggest, entertainment PR firms in LA, and it was all fancy, Sony and all that stuff. And then, I guess ambitious people aren't comfortable with working with someone for too long. And so then you branch out on your own and things get real. So
yeah, they do.
So that's where I am right now. Things have gotten real. But yeah, going back to you talked about how you got laid off at Fox. Was that what precipitated launching your own agency?
Yeah, I was in business by accident after that. I had friends. I had friends at Fox who started to land jobs at Disney. My first three clients: Disney, Warner Brothers, and Sony. And it was all my friends from my coworker friends from Fox who went over to those companies. They were all marketing director, marketing manager people. And they started to send me work as a freelancer because they didn't have internal teams, because this was in the dot bomb when everybody was outsourcing work and laying off internal teams. So those people became my first few clients. And, I resisted for about a year from the time that I started freelancing. I was still applying for jobs places. I was making 15 to 20 grand a month in freelance work, and I'm still applying for jobs because I was not a believer that this was going to be my thing. I was too afraid I was afraid to support my family. I was afraid to not have enough income. I was afraid to not get the next project, and then what am I going to do? So I was always just looking for jobs for like a year. And then finally my freelance work had just gotten so consistent over so much time. And then I started to save money. I had money in the bank. And then I started to think, okay, maybe I should just go for this. And that's when I started hiring and growing it into an agency.
That's amazing. That's incredible. So what would you say was your most memorable gig while you were the sovereign at Riser?
While I was running Riser,
while you were at Riser,
we had we had so many great ones. We did the website for the Lego Batman video game, and that was a really cool project. And we won a bunch of awards for that. We did a project. I use this one a lot in examples, but we did a big project for Tropicana where it was this big virtual world and had games and stuff in it. And that one, we won an FWA for that one. So that was really cool. The biggest project we ever did was for Kraft Foods. And that was a $500,000 project that spanned over like 6 months of time. And that was a super cool, big, high profile project. Lots of eyeballs on that. We did so many cool projects. It's hard to pick. I loved the most online games, and we did those Bratz dolls, those big eyed Barbies. It was like Yeah. We did, my agency, we did most of the video games, most of the online games for brats.com. We were just doing like one a month of these games, and they were all dress up games and sparkle games and little race games
My niece
and
would
stuff.
love
And
those.
yeah, we did so many of those. So some of those were super fun.
That's incredible.
When Lost, the movie, when the show Lost came out, we were doing all of the website online games and content for Lost. We did Desperate Housewives. We did this big project that was which housewife are you? And so you take the quiz, a personality quiz, and then which of the Desperate Housewives are you most compatible with for the guys?
Yeah.
And that had millions and millions of people who played that game that we did for ABC. So just a super, super fun project that we got to work on. Yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Yeah. So going back on the freelance side, right? You did the freelancing thing before you launched the agency. Right? Yeah. So what are the qualities you would say, or what did you have that led to your success as a freelancer? Because it sounds to me like you had a job, got laid off, and then just started freelancing, right?
Yeah.
So tell us about that.
Yeah. The qualities it was not that I'm the greatest designer in the whole world. It was customer service, ability to communicate effectively, hit the timelines that my clients needed, be pleasant to work with or even likable to work with, organized and detailed. All of those things led to those clients trusting me. And when they trust you, they want to give you more stuff. Because interestingly enough, the world is filled with untrustworthy people. Especially there's so many creatives out there that struggle to deliver on a promise. The client needs it Friday, and for some reason it's not done on Friday. And I didn't know how, and it's not unique because there are a lot of great people out there, but how much of a differentiator it was to just be pleasant to work with and organized. It was a differentiator in my clients working with me versus other people. Right. So that was a big thing. And obviously you have to be able to do sufficient quality to keep your client happy and to deliver results that they need. But the big differentiator, especially at the start, was just this customer service mindset with the clients.
I absolutely agree. You know, I'm one of those people who would call out creatives for contributing to the general notion that people have about the creative industry. You know, a lot of us are lazy, miss deadlines, you know, waiting for creative inspiration before getting work done. And it's like, that's not how it works. You know, like and if you want to make the big bucks, you kind of have to work with people sometimes, with businesses that aren't necessarily within the creative space. And all they know are deadlines. All they know is the bottom line. Like they don't care about your creative inspiration. So you have to make it work somehow, you know?
Yeah, so true. So true.
Right. Yeah. So I totally get that. One of my most recent projects was with a small business that works directly with federal agencies. And I don't know if I told you this story before, but I was contracted to develop 120 e-training videos for an upcoming e-learning website. 120 videos in 2 months.
Yeah.
2 months, 120 training videos. And so when you're given a project like that, you just break it down into processes. There's no room for creative, I'm waiting for inspiration. No, they have deadlines, you know? Yeah. So I can definitely understand that. So
I think there are a lot of creatives out there that think that that's going to be their career, is this creative inspiration. You get to go into the think tank and you get to ideate and stuff. And yes, every once in a while you get a project like that.
Right.
Every once in a while.
Right.
But most of the projects you get, you're just having to crank out the work.
Yep.
And make it sufficient to yield results for the client. But it's not going to be this museum quality communication arts thing.
Exactly.
Like a lot of the stuff, we are just cranking out the work. And so I think that that's something that is beneficial for a lot of creatives to learn.
I agree.
And you wait in between. You crank out, crank out, and then all of a sudden the stars align.
Right.
And there's a project where the client has enough budget for you to ideate. They have enough time for you to, pontificate this great solution for them.
Right.
And then you get to do
that creative. Right. I absolutely agree. You got to do what you got to do. So going back to, and this is where Dane Walker said, like, you're the master at this. How do we price our work? Michael, tell us.
Okay, so, well, that's a big, huge question.
No pressure.
I have a 200-page book and a 8-hour course on pricing. So I'll give you the 30-second version. There are three variables, and a lot of people who have seen my content have seen me share this, but there are three variables that we weigh when we're pricing our work. The first variable is, what does it cost me to produce this? Production costs. So we calculate that saying, okay, I get a new project opportunity. It's a logo. I think that I'm going to spend 30 hours on this logo. And I know that my cost per hour to run my business is $30 per hour. That's what I have to make to break even. So my production cost is $900. That's my bottom. That's the production cost variable, but that's not what we price it. That's just the one variable. The next variable we look at is market value. And market value is, what do other people like me charge for this same type of work? So I would look at it and say, okay, I'm a freelancer based in a mid-market in the United States. Who else like me is out there, and what do they charge for logos? And I start looking around. You can look on blogs, you can look on websites, you can look in the Graphic Artists Guild handbook of pricing, where they have surveys and stuff. And you might look at it and say, okay, I know that most people like me are charging $1,500 to $3,000 for a logo. Let's just throw that out there. So now I have $900 as my production cost variable. I have $1,500 to $3,000 as my market value variable. The final variable that we consider is the client's budget. What is the client willing to spend on this type of project right now? And then that always depends on, are they a big, huge client? Do they value design? Are they a little mom and pop shop that doesn't value design and they're just going to be cheap? What is the budget? And you should ask the client's budget. I do. I talk with them. We talk about what they want to accomplish. And then you say at the end of that conversation, great, I think I have all that I need from you. One last question. How much budget do you have allocated for this project? And you ask them that. And sometimes they'll tell you a number that's lower than you expect. I had one coaching client say, I asked the client, I was thinking that it was like 20 grand, and they said 60. They thought that they had 60,000. So it's more than what you expect. So it's good to ask, because if you throw the number out there first, I understand the competing argument that you want to price anchor and you want to drop your number first. But man, sometimes the client's budget is even bigger than what you would price anchor. So you ask the client's budget, and then you talk to them, and then you have those three variables. So let's say the client says, okay, well, we have about $2,000 allocated to this. So you have $2,000 for the client budget, $1,500 to $3,000 for the market value, and your production cost, is $900. So there you have to say, I'm going to price this somewhere between $900 and $3,000, because that's my range, my spectrum of prices. Now, where do you price it in that range? Well, that all depends on the situation that you're in. Because Cynthia, if you don't have any other work right now, and you need some projects, you might look at it and say, okay, I'm going to price this at $1,100. because I need to greenlight this because I know I'm only going to make $200 of profit, but I have no other work. So I'm going to price it low, below their budget, or maybe you just come off their budget. You know, they want to spend $2,000, so you're going to bid it at $1,700 so that you undercut anybody else coming in and bidding it right at their budget, and you have a better chance of landing the work. Or if you're busy, you might say to yourself, you know what? I don't really want to do this. I'm already super busy. But if the client wants to work with me, I'm going to charge them $3,000, the top end of market value for this work. So I'm going to put it at $3,000. And then if they green light, great. I know I'm going to make $2,100 of profit. But if they don't green light, that's fine too, because it doesn't matter to me. I have so much other work. So where you price stuff, you got to understand their variables, and then where you price it completely depends on the situation that you're in your business right now, and it varies from time to time and from business to business.
Right. Someone asked the question: what if they say, what if they ask you? Because I've had that happen to me before, and they're like, "Oh, what's your budget?" They're like, "What do you charge?" So how do you respond to that?
So usually I throw out a range in that situation, and I say, and I range high. I would range and say, okay, what do I charge? Great question. The last 3 projects that we did similar to this were roughly somewhere between $6,000, and I throw that out there. That's the price anchor. Good. That's the high number. And all the way down to $3,000. I say the low number second. And this is called price anchoring in sales. And you say the high number first, and then psychologically, it makes the lower number seem smaller. If you say the small number first, like we're used to, somewhere between $3,000 and $6,000, they heard $3,000 first. Now they're thinking, when you say 6,000, whoa, it's more. Yeah. But if you say, well, the last 3 projects we did, we were ranged in $6,000, and now the client's sitting there thinking, whoa, $6,000, wow, that's more than I thought. And then you say all the way down to around $3,000. It just depends on the scope. Now they sit there and they say, yeah, 3,000. That sounds cheap. That's way less than 6,000 because you anchored with the 6,000. So reverse the range and float that higher number out there first, and then let it sit for just a second while they process that number before you say that lower one.
That's incredible. I love that. We know what's going on right now. Pandemic, everything. A lot of us, we've had to be resourceful and creative in the way that we get work. What would be a recommendation for freelancers within, so a lot of what's going on right now is people are building, online presences, and then that's extending to like coaching services, content creation services. What's your recommendation for the best way to get clients?
First thing I would say is don't believe that everybody is struggling. I coach a lot of people, and there are people that are doing record billings right now, creatives out there, creative freelancers that are doing record billings. They're heading into huge fourth quarters that they have coming up, that they're afraid, how am I going to get all this work done? That's happening out there. So not everybody is struggling. So my advice first is don't tell yourself the story that there's no clients and no work opportunities for you out there. People are spending. It just depends on the types of businesses that you're doing work for. What sector you're targeting. But some industries are doing great right now. So that's step number 1. Step number 2, there's no question that the pandemic is hitting a lot of businesses. This is the rainy day that we talk about. Oh, I've got to save money for a rainy day. It's raining right now. It's raining right now. And the goal when it's a rainy day is to just stay in business. Stay in business between now and the time that things really start to pick up for your business, because your competitors are going and finding jobs or they're going out of business. And the competitive landscape gets smaller in times like this. When people lose jobs, people lose companies. Now all of a sudden, the people who stayed in business during the rainy day have a heyday coming afterwards. So do all you can to just ride this out and stay solvent.
Stick it through.
Yeah, stick it through. And if that means taking on some cheaper projects, then so be it. It's not going to be forever. I've been through 3 of these. This is my 3rd economic downturn. And the second one was the hardest one for me. The first one I started my agency in, the dot bomb in the early 2000s. The second one was the 2008 recession that spread into 2009 and 2010. My billings in 2008, my agency billed 1.4 million. In 2009, we billed 700,000. And so my billings got
huge loss,
cut in half from what we were doing before. And we were doing cheap logos. We were doing cheap websites. We were doing anything that we could find to keep the lights on. But guess what happened in 2010 when my competitors, I had competitors go out of business in 2009 and 2010. And then everybody started spending again. And by 2011, we were billing more than what we billed in 2008. By 2012, we were hitting record billings. 2013, we made the Inc. 5000, one of the fastest growing companies in the United States. And it was all because we stayed alive during the slow time. And I think that that's some of the advice I have for people right now is just keep the lights on and know that this is not going to be forever. Things are going to pick up again. And when things do pick up, if you're still in business and your competitors aren't, you got a great opportunity to gobble up a whole ton of work.
That's incredible. You've given me a lot to think about.
Good.
You've given me a lot to think about. Okay, final question before we get to the questions in the question box. So you know this space we're in where it's like there's this like it's almost like there's this like similarities between different people and different accounts and all that stuff. And we're not just talking color. We're talking like color is part of it, but we're also talking like in terms of the services offered, and all that stuff. And I've had several people come to me, potential clients or prospects come to me and say things like, oh, they're like comparing a few of us at the moment, and, they're trying to see who they could work with out of, because like to them, like everyone does the same thing, right? Brand strategy, content creation. How do you stand out?
Well, you're doing it right now. You are building a personal brand. You've got, you're on lives, you've got great energy, you're super outgoing in DMs. You are building a one-to-one connection with people. You've done it with me and at least the other 63 people that are on this live stream right now. You've done it with them. And that's the differentiator. That's what makes them choose you over the other 5 people doing exactly what you do. If the quality of work is the same, the type of service is the same, the price is the same, why would they choose you? Well, they choose you because you're Cynthia, my pal. I love Cynthia. I want to work with Cynthia. That's why they choose you. So that's exactly what you got to do, and you're doing it right now. So and here's one of the great things. And you know what you're doing, and you're smart on branding, but the getting live like this, I can't tell you how many times I've gotten on a coaching session with somebody and they say to me, oh my gosh, I feel like I know you already. I feel like we're friends already. It's the first time that I've ever talked with them. But because of my video content and my little lessons and doing lives like this, they feel like we're friends already. And you're doing that already as well. So that's why are they going to choose you? It's because you're Cynthia. Why are they going to choose Tally, who's on here? because she's
She's
Tally.
Tally. Yeah.
Because I like Tally. I want to work with Tally, you know?
Yeah.
That's why. So be outgoing. Don't be afraid to put yourself out there and be in front of the camera, because you're building these one-on-one connections with people, allowing them to connect with you, and you don't even know you're doing it. But that's what's happening.
That's what's happening.
Yeah.
I just want to say, you have an incredible personality, though, Michael. Like, dude, guys, when I had my toothache, Michael checked on me literally every day. He was like, "Hi," because I sent him like I was supposed to have a live with him. I showed you.
You showed me, yeah.
Like, dude, like look at my face right now.
Yeah.
But he checked on me every day. So Michael's just like an amazing, amazing human being. Before we get to the questions, what would you recommend in general? What would be your advice to people who are trying to get where you are?
Anybody can get anywhere they want as long as they don't quit. The only failure is if you just give up and just say, "Oh, I quit." So you got a long career. Most of the people that follow my content are kind of in the late 20s to mid 30s. That's like the age spread of most of the people. Man, you got like 50 more years if you want to keep working. 50 years to keep grinding. You can get wherever you want in 50 years. So keep going. I think that's the advice that I have. It's not a race. It's not if I'm not a millionaire by 40, then I've failed. You don't have to set little bars like that. Just know what you want to accomplish long term, and then just never quit, and you will get there someday.
Right. Yeah. I absolutely agree. The fight is for who stays in it the longest.
Yeah, it is.
That's how I put it. Right.
Yeah.
So Q&A, guys. What's your experience with firing clients? How can you make it less painful?
Oh man, you know what? When it's time to fire a client, it's not painful.
Oh yeah.
It's like, oh, thank goodness, it's relieving. Now it's scary. It's scary. To have that conversation. Okay, so advice on firing clients: you got to have a bulletproof contract. Your contract has to say, "We are doing this project. Here's the exact scope, and when we've hit this level right here, we know that we are owed X amount of dollars from the client."
Yeah.
That's where things get muddy and messy when you fire a client. It's when the client thinks that you should give them all the money back, or when the client thinks that they don't owe you money, but you think they owe you money. It's when things are nebulous like that. That's when things get messy. But if you have a good contract, like where it details out all of the deliverables and all the rounds and all the stuff, then it's a lot easier to let a client go. Now, how do you do it? I say, "Hey, client, this relationship is not working out for us anymore. We don't think that we're a good fit to work together. We've determined that it's time for us to execute our cancellation clause that's in our contract," which I think I gave that in a post a few posts ago. Here's the cancellation. We can cancel this project. We're giving you our 5 days notice, but we can cancel it right now if you prefer.
If that's okay.
And then based on the scope of the project, you've paid us X amount of dollars. You owe us Y amount of dollars, but we've decided to waive that final fee and just give you the files that we have up to date and part ways. That's the way that I have done it in the past. Now, some clients will throw a fit. Some clients will be mad. Some clients would, they'll, and I look at it, I'm like, okay, if I waive their final invoice, if I give them their files and I just tell them, here's what we've done so far and here's what you've paid for, and you don't have to pay this last little amount. See you later. And you have a contract. Then you're in control of that situation, and they can kick and scream all they want, but you can maintain control. And guess what? You're going to feel so much better that night. Oh my gosh.
I did the same recently. I did. I told you I did the same recently, and of course they threw a fit. And it was just comical. The whole thing was just comical. But anyways, but yeah, that was a good question. should being a freelancer have work experience? I think that's an easy one.
If any experience is helpful. Any experience, any life experience, any work experience. I mean, working at a McDonald's is still a good experience to help you understand, learn customer service. So any experience is helpful, but it's not a requirement to being a freelancer. You've got to be smart. You got to have people skills. You got to be able to execute on the work. I don't recommend that people just jump in if they're not qualified to produce things. But if you've learned the skills you need to produce work in school, you can learn the business side of freelancing in a variety of different ways. I have a course for that, and I share a ton of free content for that. There's stuff that you can learn from others.
Awesome. Quickly before I forget, what's your opinion on sites like Fiverr, Upwork, and all that? It
attracts, so people buy from you for a variety of different reasons. We talked earlier about we want people to buy from Cynthia because she's my pal Cynthia.
Yes.
In Fiverr, you're not their pal Cynthia. You've never met them before. And so you've eliminated one of the most valuable ways to sell your work is based on the one-to-one human connection. And so when you go to Fiverr, Upwork, or any of those, it becomes them looking at your portfolio, making a subjective decision as to whether you're good enough to do it, and then them comparing your price to all the other prices that come in. And the problem with those environments is that they attract the price shoppers. They want, it attracts the people who are looking for the cheapest price. Now, I believe that they are a great platform for people who have no work coming from any other platform. You're not getting work from referrals. You're not getting work from repeating customers. You've got to get work from somewhere. Fiverr, Upwork, Freelancer.com. Man, these are great tools that I never had that already have projects that exist that you can just bid on. It's pretty good. But just know that you're attracting price shoppers and you usually have to be the low bid to try and win some of these things. So it's not ideal long-term, but it can help you keep the lights on, like we talked about, in a rainy day. And we're in a rainy day, and some people it's really rainy right now.
It's really rainy. I personally feel like, personal opinion, Fiverr and all those sites is where creative entrepreneurship goes to die. Well, I wouldn't do it, I guess I'd rather work on other skills to help me get to where I want to be than go, I don't know, you get $5 logos on Fiverr, Michael. $5 logos. What is that?
I know you can't compete, but some places, $5 for a logo, if they're living at home with their parents and they, some people have a different cost structure than you. The other thing too that you're not taking in consideration, and I'm not a big advocate of these things. I don't think it's like emergency. It's emergency. But the other thing that I would say is that if it's where a lot of people start, it's not where they go to die, it's where they go to start, because they've never done any work for anybody. They have to get some work somewhere. So they go to some of those platforms. Anyway, it's tricky.
I get that.
It's not recommended. It's not recommended as a primary strategy long term. But in an emergency, if you've got a spouse at home and 3 kids and no income, well, a $5 logo may not sound so bad in that situation.
Right. A $5 logo converted to another currency could be a lot of money too. So
it could
you know
be,
what?
And that's the thing too. So and that is why the prices are driven down, because you're competing in a global marketplace. And so somebody in the United States or in England, for example, super expensive in England to live. Can you make ends meet when you're competing in England with somebody who's in Kenya or something? Or Vietnam in a lower cost. Can you make ends meet?
Absolutely.
Probably not. So it's super advantageous for some places to be able to bid projects there.
Right.
But all in all, my goal with every creative is I want to get you out of Fiverr land as quick as possible.
Yes.
And I want to get you out of Fiverr land. And that's why I talk a lot about building connections, relationships, sales, those kinds of things, because that's where you can get higher paying projects and better personality clients than what you find in some of those places.
Quickly, before we go to the next question. So what do you, I know you offer coaching. I know you have your phenomenal course, because a lot of people I know have told me the course is phenomenal. Good. What else do you offer? How else do you help creatives?
I have all my Instagram content. I have a UX course also that is for UX design. I have a YouTube channel, which I'm starting now to post on more frequently. I have 2 books, Burn Your Portfolio and The Psychology of Graphic Design Pricing. Those 2 books are out. I just started my email newsletter and it's not like I'm selling you junk every week. I'm trying to deliver some unique value content. So that's something, if you want to sign up for my newsletter, go to my website
right away.
Go to my website, scroll down to the bottom, and there's a little email newsletter sign up. And so I'm on my 4th one coming out this Friday. Okay. But that's content, that's new content as well. So
awesome. And the website is michaeljanda.com, right?
Yes. Yeah. Perfect. Or morejanda.com resolves to it also. Yeah.
Oh, cool. I've been stalking you, so I know.
Good.
I know all your stuff. Okay. Next question. What's your advice for someone who is fresh out of university?
Know that where you start is not where you end, and everybody starts somewhere. I started at a copy store doing business card design for $20 clients. I mean, that's where I started my career. So 4 years later, I was a creative director at Fox Studios. So don't base your starting point as the defining moment of your career. Everybody starts somewhere, and know that you've got a long time, 50 years. Most of the people watching this have 50 years to keep grinding and figure out what they love most and what they're best at. Right. So give it time.
Right. I agree. I believe that. How can I promote my personal website?
Drop your personal website in the comment bar, and everybody on this live stream will see it.
Bro, what's up, dude? Like, come on, man. Save it. Yes, I'll save it. Okay, so niching. Okay, this is an interesting one for me. Niching down for branding purposes. What's your opinion generally on picking a niche?
I'm a fan of niching. It's a careful thing. So I talk about a niche funnel where at the top is we do design work for everybody everywhere in the world. That's the top. And that's what a lot of designers position themselves as. Oh, we'll just design anything. And then niching down, you can go tighter and you can say, okay, now we're just going to niche for only restaurant businesses anywhere in the world. Okay, so now we went one little notch tighter. And then we're going to say, okay, now I'm going to niche down to only restaurants in the United States. Okay, now we just niche down tighter. Now we could niche down tighter and say only websites for restaurants in the United States. Now we're even a little tighter. Then you could say now only websites for restaurants in New York City in the United States. Now we niche down even tighter. You want to niche down as tight as you can to still have a solvent business. The tighter you niche, the easier it is to communicate what you offer to the world. The easier it is to determine who your clients are that you should be going after. But if you niche too tight, then you don't have a solvent business. So if you niche to only websites for restaurants in New York City, Is that too tight? Well, it's super easy to market yourself because you can go and knock on the door of every restaurant in New York City and say, hey, do you need a website? I know exactly who those clients are. I can go and reach out to the 1,000 restaurants in New York. But is it too tight? Because what if only 10% of them need a website and I can only greenlight 10% of those? Then I only get 3 clients per year, whatever you crunch the numbers as. So you niche too tight. So you want to go back up the niche funnel and say, okay, I'm going to niche restaurant websites for United States or restaurant branding for United States. So the point I'm trying to make is you want to niche as tight as you can, but you still, that still gives you a solvent business. So you know that the quantity of potential clients is big enough to sustain your business.
Yes.
And but you want to niche tight because the tighter you niche, the easier it is to market your services. That's
awesome. I've gone through this. Like personally, I struggle with niching because I'm the kind of person, like I'm your typical creative. I'm sure you can like think about yourself like maybe 15 years ago. I'm still like in that mindset, like, so I find it hard to niche down. First of all, because like I do a range of creative stuff, singing, all that stuff. But I'm beginning to see the value in niching down. It's just like, I need to get it in. I need to work on it. But let's see. Next one, making money in communication. How do you scale communication skill business coaching? I think that's the question.
I'm not sure if I understand that question. How do you
So like if someone has, say someone were a communication skill business coach, how would they scale their business?
Well, that's a good question. Determine who your target customer is. This is the same in default marketing thing. Who are you trying to reach? And then what services do you offer them to provide value to them? And then price your services appropriate to the pain that they feel for their business. So the challenge with a communications coach is that how many people are wandering around saying, oh, I really need help with communication, and I'm willing to pay $200 an hour for somebody to help me. It's a challenge. Now, if you go and say, I'm a project management coach for creatives, well, that's a way to position, and maybe your foundation is communication and you help people learn to communicate, but people can look around and say, I need help with project management for sure, because my clients run all over me and I can't hold them to the scope and whatever. Now you can target to a pain point that your potential customer has. I think a little bit of change in the way that you're phrasing it to talk about a pain point that you resolve rather than saying I'm a communication coach could be beneficial.
Gotcha. That just gave me an idea, but that makes so much sense. That's amazing. How do you get ideas, inspiration for design? Michael, before we get into that, your designs are, you have some of the most like diverse, I guess, design. Like you don't use one. The color is, consistent, but the design style, font style, all that stuff is very, very different at every point. We don't know what we're getting. It's like a surprise, So I'd love to see the response to that question.
For me, it is, I think 1/3 of my posts are self-gratification. It's that I'm designing because I need to get it out of my system. I need to get my creativity out of me. And so a lot of times when you see some designs, sometimes I push it really hard. I have one coming tomorrow that is not the norm from my normal posts. And I was just like pushing it, and it's fun for me. And so you'll see a lot of that content, and it's because I needed to get an outlet for myself. And I know that as long as I use yellow and black, part of what my brand is is a variety of different pieces of content, and people start to expect that. I hope. And it said, you said that you do. And I like that it's a surprise, because I like that too, because I don't want to just be the same over and over again. So, know that social media, it's not just, for me, it's not just delivering valuable content to my audience, which I always try and do. I get my own self-gratification out of it, of just scratching my own creative itch. And that's what pushes me to have fun and do more variety of posts and things, and not just do the same thing over and over.
How long does it take you to create a carousel, Michael?
Oh, it's, you know, a short one, maybe half hour, 45 minutes, and a longer one, I might fiddle with it for a couple hours. It's, I write all of my content in Evernote. So I have this folder in my Evernote that is post ideas. And I just, every time I have an idea, I throw it into Evernote. And I get so many ideas from live streams, from coaching sessions. Like I had 3 coaching sessions earlier today, and I probably got 4 or 5 new content ideas just from those coaching sessions. I'll be talking to somebody, they'll talk about a pain point they're having. I'll share some little nugget of something, and then I'll think, oh, that's a great piece of content to turn into a carousel, or turn into a video clip or something for people.
This is where I write down all my ideas, guys.
There you go.
I like to do it the old way, just like write them down in a notebook. I have about 5 of those at every time. But let's see. Where do you think design agencies are going in the next few years?
That's an interesting question. I think you're going to see a lot of design agencies, because of the global pandemic thing, that they're going to start being remote teams. And I'm not sure how I feel about it, because collaboration is so important in design.
Process,
that having the team sitting next to each other, and the banter and the little critiques here and there that won't exist in a Zoom remote team thing, I think is detrimental to creativity. I think that 3 good designers can make 1 great design, and most of us are good designers, not great designers. So I'm a little nervous about the push for remote teams, as I think it'll affect creativity and the hybrid mind that the communal brain that we have inside of a work environment. So that's one side of things. I think you're going to see more and more agencies position themselves as experience design agencies. I think that's the buzzy word of the decade, is usability design, UX design, experience design. I think you're going to start to see a lot more of that over the next decade as people capitalize on the trend. The reality is design hasn't changed. It was always about that before. We're just using new terms for
describe it.
But it was always about that. So anyway, those are a couple thoughts, I guess, on the future of design.
Recently quit my job, planning to continue to freelance. Any tips on how to find consistent projects?
Oh man, consistent projects is tough. So at the start, it comes over time. When I started my agency, I had 3 clients. Those 3 clients were my same 3 clients a year later, and I had like 1 more. Now I had 4 clients. And then the year after that, all of a sudden I had 8 clients or 10 clients. And then the year after that, we had 20 clients. And the roller coaster starts to smooth out a bit over time as you get more and more notoriety around your name. You get more and more people who know who you are and start referring work to you. it gets better over time. I think my advice in the early era is when you have 3 clients, you can't afford to mess up and lose one of them. So work super hard for every single client in the early years. Otherwise, you're going to have 2 clients at the end of a year and not be growing a business. You'll be just trying to hang on for dear life.
Right.
Yeah.
So over deliver with every client.
Yeah.
That's a good one. So I think this is a content question for like your page. Do you create large quantities of content at once, or do you create them day by day?
I used to create day by day because I could never get ahead. Now I post less. I'm only posting like 2 to 4 times a week. I used to post 5 or 6 times a week. I try and do at least 2 good posts per week, like 2 more time-consuming posts to deliver.
Yeah.
And I schedule them out ahead of time. And the more ahead I am, the better I feel. And I'm usually
less stressful.
Usually I'm never more than like a week ahead. Anyway, like last Wednesday, I think I did a couple posts, and I scheduled 1 for Thursday last week and 2 for this week, and I was like, "Ooh, I'm way ahead." That's how it felt. Now my next one,
ahead though.
My one goes up tomorrow, and then I have nothing in the queue, so I always feel bad about that.
You're way ahead though. My best so far has been 3 posts ahead.
Yeah.
So you're way
that's
ahead.
good.
But I'm working toward getting better and better at just
hard.
posting ahead and just putting
so
it out there.
Hard. It's so hard.
It is.
It's a rat race. You're chasing it.
It is. I was hoping we could wrap up. There are so many more questions, but Michael, you've had a long day. I want us to wrap up. So I was hoping we could wrap up with something more fun. So I'm just gonna ask you. I'm gonna throw out a word, and the bridge is, and then you tell me what that word means to you.
Oh no!
I'll do that.
This sounds like I'm going to say something incriminating.
No, I think you'll be fine. Okay, so growth is
hard.
Very true.
Okay.
Life is
beautiful.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Okay, this isn't one word, but it's along the same line. Creative entrepreneurship is
excruciating. That's the word.
Wonderful notes to end on, guys. Creative entrepreneurship is excruciating. No, but I agree with you, but I mean, it's, if we love it, you stick it through, through it,
I wouldn't change it. I've loved it. It made me who I am. It made me have answers to questions like we've talked about here.
Yes.
I wouldn't change it. Even though it was hard, I wouldn't change it. No way.
Right,
it makes you who you are.
Yes.
Life is about experiences. And my agency, entrepreneurship, creative entrepreneurship, filled me with experiences that I could not have grown from any other way. So I'm super grateful.
Right. I absolutely agree. Right there with you. Thank you so much, Michael. This has been so much
super fun. Super
fun.
Thank
you. Thank you for being here. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your mentorship. We all look up to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for everything.